And I think they're losing self-value. And I'm watching God's people lose self-value and lose an identity about who they are. And so because I think we've lost self-value and what it means to be one of the children of God, we've chased a lot of other things, and we're warned about that time and again. So here's what I'd like to do. I want to show you a chronological progression through the book of Matthew in several spots where I believe Matthew and Jesus in tandem are sending you a subliminal message. All right? Now, just stay with me on that. Subliminal is probably the wrong word, but it'll catch your attention. So watch how it works in Matthew chapter 6. Look at verse 25. Therefore I say to you, don't worry about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink. Don't worry about your body, what you put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? Which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? Why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't toil, they don't spin. And yet I say to you that even Solomon in all of his glory was never arrayed, never dressed like one of these. Now if God so clothes the grass of the field, here comes the Father as your source verse. If God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, would he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? And I want you to sort of grab hold of that last phrase and just file it away, if you would, in your mind, that "O ye of little faith" passage. This is one of those Sunday school, vacation Bible school lessons that we do, that we teach our kids, which is, hey, you know, God's going to provide for you. You don't have to worry about it. If He takes care of the flowers and He takes care of the birds, He'll take care of you. But notice the last question of verse 26. Are you not of more value than these? Go to Matthew 10:29. Watch, same book, because this lesson, this won't apply if we jump gospel to gospel, because the gospels overlap a lot of times. So you'll read something in Matthew that you can also read in Mark, that you can also read in Luke. So it wouldn't do any good to go, let's go read it in Mark, because it'd be the same story. I'm staying in the same gospel to show you that Jesus is not telling the same story. He's telling the same theme, but He's not telling the same story. Matthew chapter 10, verse 29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will, but the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. Did you catch the 31st verse? You are of more value than many sparrows. Matthew chapter 12, verse number 11. You're walking chronologically through the teachings of Jesus. He says to them, what man is there... 12:11. What man is there among you who has 1 sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? How much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. I don't know if you caught it. Matthew chapter 6, Matthew chapter 10, Matthew chapter 12. Jesus either asks or makes the following statement in all 3 stories to 3 different crowds in the same gospel, and that is, how much are you worth? It sounds like this. Are you not more valuable than many sparrows? Are you not more valuable than the birds of the air, than the lilies of the field? Are you not more valuable than a sheep? Of course, they're rhetorical questions, and they're all... Actually, no one struggles with this question. Everyone in this room, yes, I'm of more value than flowers. I'm of more value than sparrows. I'm of more value than sheep. But that's why I told you I think there's sort of and subliminal is the wrong word, but there's a little underlying message in the book of Matthew that Jesus is trying to tell to scattered Israel. Israel, you don't have a homeland anymore. You don't have an Ark of the Covenant in the back of your temple any longer. You don't have a king sitting on the throne any longer, and you've basically lost your identity. So I keep asking you, do you know your value? Do you know your value? Do you know your value? 3 times in the same book with 3 different stories, which tells me that Jesus thinks it's a pretty big deal that people know their value, that they know what they're worth, that they understand what they're worth, because only when people know their value will they begin to feel valuable in the world. And only when you feel valuable in the world do you feel worth anything in the world. And what's the whole point of this Christianity? And this might be where you and I part ways. Because what I've found in the church is most people feel that the purpose of Christianity is to miss a place called hell and go to a place called heaven. And I believe that the purpose of Christianity is to bring heaven into people's hell. And that's basically what I'm out trying to do for just a few moments at every stop that I get, is to try to look straight into people's darkness and straight into people's chaos and straight into people's struggle and straight into people's ever-present hell, and take a little bit of the heaven that I believe is actual and real and full of power and love and grace, and is touched by the hand of the Father and full of value and purpose and meaning, and just push that bread across the table to a crowd and ask them if they know what they're worth, and ask them if they've perceived their own value, and ask them that if they have, and if they've ever taken one little bite of that, one little nibble, if you can just take one little moment where you begin to feel that you have some sort of value, and for just a moment, even if you don't theologically ride that train with me, but if for one moment you could at least act like it's possible that the point of being one of God's children is not to miss hell and go to heaven only. I don't want to discount that as a reality, but the point of it being a reality now is that you have something, and what you have is so valuable and so world-changing and so life-changing that God actually put it in your possession and then gave you people, real life, breathing people, to whom you get to encounter and love and hate and fight and reject and persecute. Because frankly, for every good interaction, we have such potential for malevolence and bad interaction.